So it's been like 6 months since I had uploaded anything to the channel. Um, most of that is on me, I will say. And then part of it is just life being life, and adulting ain't easy. This stuff is hard. Um, this will sort of act like a just a new upload as well as an update as to what's going on. Uh, I'm still keeping up with drawing. Uh, I started writing. Uh, there was a video planned for a while back. I want to say 3 months ago. But I had messed up in deleting a few clips that were in the video to make up space for the computer. And I couldn't figure out how to fix like the whole timeline thing in the editing software. So I just ended up having to scrap the whole thing entirely, which honestly was super difficult because now I am still gonna make that video at some point, but now it's I have to start over essentially, and I had a lot of progress in that video, especially with how I was starting to get like my own little style of editing down, but now I have to kind of figure all that out again. I have to find clips. I have to rearrange those, cut them, splice them together, uh, dub over it with a script and all that. I mean, at least I can say I still have the script for that video, so I don't have to, struggle with kind of making points and whatnot. But now it is a little bit more difficult having to go back and get footage for that. Um, I am, because I thought about it and I looked through a few of my sketchbooks. The art gallery, the second art gallery, will feature a little bit more about another idea I might have regarding another just general idea for the channel. That being writing. I am. That was a big reason I had started drawing, was specifically because I was getting into writing. I'm trying to get a story down. I have about the first chapter and I want to say like 2.2, 2.5 done. I had been working on it since roughly around like 4 months ago, during my little rut with life. There was like a whole month of me not working almost, so I had just basically during my time with that I started writing that, or not writing, I was cleaning that up and then getting back into the groove of just being creative, which is partially what I want to talk about in this video. Creativity, very being creative is hard. you know I want to do so many things, and having a bunch of stuff like this happen just in life, and then me fucking something up small with a project that I was working on is really demotivating. But I still want to try to get this stuff done. It's still a passion of mine. You know, as I was kind of looking through the channel and then looking at some of the footage from like files and stuff, I kind of listening to myself and then kind of looking at all this stuff, it made me want to get back into it even more so than I already needed to, I guess. But it had me thinking, I didn't know what I wanted to do for this, right? I had, this is like what, my fifth, seventh attempt of trying to figure out what the hell I want to do with this video. But I thought about it and I was just like, you know what? Making a quick little update slash like another what is essentially like a second parter for channel contents is just kind of like what I want to do with this kind of what I want to keep doing with this channel, going forward. And that is, I still like the idea of the art galleries and stuff that I did. I think that's a really neat idea that I had in my little noggin. But now with my writing, uh, I might just kind of spitball random stuff and like kind of make crappy little drawings and like put them up and see if that like makes any sense. And if it doesn't, it won't really happen. But if I end up making them and then I feel like it'd be funny for like at least a very short video or still a shorter video, uh, I'll probably like make it and post it sooner or later. Those will get done. Um, and like I said way earlier, just writing and stuff. I'm definitely gonna put updates and whatnot about the actual story that I'm writing. How I want to do that, I'm still not sure. It's still to me honestly pretty embarrassing. It's hard enough trying to just draw what is essentially OCs, but making a whole story and trying to make a whole world that is essentially lived in already, and making a bunch of lore for the characters. Writing people as other people that n not at all like act like you. That stuff is very difficult, but it's still something that's really cool, and I want to like kind of try to make. And not that I've entirely given up on making, a game, but thinking about it a lot more as I was in my little, hiatus basically. This is significantly, or is that the right term? No. I would say this is just as important and, a big part of what it is that I want to do with my life, and that is just being creative. And that's how to put it. Not that's not the message of the video, just kind of like, oh, do what you want to do and like just keep going and then it'll happen eventually. Because it's just generally I'm already a pessimistic person, so that kind of like a pep talk and uh what's the term? Um those like people just with like those kind of like ideals and state of minds I don't really understand. I just tend to be more pessimistic and uh, quote unquote realistic. This stuff takes time and effort, and if you're creative enough and it's original enough, people flock to it. People tend to like a lot of very, especially nowadays, in the big 25, people really like original and just kind of out there ideas. I myself really like that. A bunch of series that I'm starting to like draw inspiration from and like try to understand more and just kind of how to put it. I just well, no, I guess that is the right way to put it. Just like understanding, the series that I'm like drawing influence from, and kind of understanding it on a much deeper level than like most people would. Like frieren, I know, like I had rewatched it again. Um, but having two characters that are basically the same. A lot of people. I just saw a video. I'll put it up if I once I go look for it. But that was a great video talking about someone else talking about um how that works in Frieren, having Frieren and Frieren essentially be the same character, and how like that still works because they're still very different, and how characters are treated in that series and whatnot. And then on top of that, like just like the art, not only like just interesting ideas in terms of writing and stuff, just I mean like eye captivating stuff, drawing people especially now are getting really into just very different art styles for like manga, anime, comics. I know especially right now Danzadan is making making its ways into people's hearts. I think that's amazing because I started reading it a bit before the anime had came out, and my God, I think it's my favorite series so far. I'm sad to say that Sakamata Days did fall off pretty hard, but stuff like that, it's just especially by a studio like Science Saru, it's like so much more different than like so many other anime. You know, its themes, its characters, you know, the writing, the art style, the music. I'm so glad that Creepy Nuts is getting more recognition after Call of the Night. And I'm still so surprised people are so excited for Call of the Night. I had recently gone to Anime Expo. This is gonna be a whole nother video about me doing like a little Anime Expo thingy. But me and my friends had gone to a panel with Call of the Night, or for Call of the Night, and we were honestly I was surprised to see as many people in there as I saw. It was like a decently sized what's the word? Is it venue? A venue for the panel, and it's really cool. The Japanese voice actors for the two main characters were there. That was really fun to see. Uh, they had a cool giveaway that me and my friends did not win. Um, but you know, like stuff like that. It's just so much more different than so many series that are like also out at the same times as these, and that honestly would still be bigger, if not are just as big as these other series that I named. But people still really like these kind of like out there niche, I want to say almost indie type series. Because like a few things that I get seen thrown around is like, oh, they're letting artists be artists, or like movie makers make these things, or writers, whatever, whatever. And then I got thinking again about just like creativity and how like if I want to like if I want to be like these people, I don't really have to imitate them. It's just I had to essentially be myself and kind of have my little quirks of like my life and how I approach things and how I look at certain things or how other people influence uh things I do, say, make, whatever, so and so, you know, that kind of thing. Like let that influence like my art, my creativity, you know, it'll eventually at some point become something that people flock to because believe it or not, a lot of people like these series and stuff because they relate to it. And like not because like oh like not in a literal sense like oh wow this vampire came with me or like picked me up in the middle of the night and now we're having silly adventures together. No, it's just kind of like oh well, you know, I have insane insomnia and like it's cool seeing like it getting depicted in such a way where it's like maybe not so bad and that there is like ways to deal with it and whatnot, or like you know despite and like how do I put that? How do I put that? Despite differences in or like clashes in ideals and beliefs and stuff, people still can like get together and then like create a bond that goes, you know, past like a acquaintanceship, friendship, and then like eventually like blooming to something much more beautiful and shit like that. Or you know, like that's what people relate to, versus just kind of like oh, just some weird random power fantasy or like oh, some weird fucking like Demon Slayer or some shit. Like how the fuck are you gonna relate to Demon Slayer, dog? More people would relate to Dandadan with like oh silly me believing in silly random shit and bonding with another person over like the same idea, but just like put in a different way, you know? And, you know, that kind of thing versus what I had just explained. And again, back to the whole creativity thing. I apologize for that weird tangent. I'm very bad at talking with no script. Um, but back to the whole creativity thing. You know, I want to keep I want to keep on going and try to make something out of this channel. That is pretty hard, I will say, because I'm not generally a social person. And this kind of thing, especially if you want to kind of get your name out there, you kind of do have to be a very social person, especially on the internet, which I'm not, which I'm basically horrible at. I don't, I'm in a few communities, but I'm never really active in them. Like I have so many Discord communities I'm in, but like I can't remember the last time I've gone into any of them for and like on top of that interacted in any of them. But which I should do and kind of, you know, get acquainted with the internet despite, me not really being that kind of person. And I would attribute that to me just being very weary of people on the internet. I mean, I'm sure you guys aren't, what's the word? What I forget the word. I'm sure no one's oblivious to like the internet and like the people that are on it. There's so many weird, like actually weird people and just not good people. And I think I've just like grown up with the internet in such a way where it's like I've because I was never like in a community very early on in my younger years, so much so that like I foregoed any like internet safety tips and kind of talked to whoever I could whenever I could. I just kind of went on the internet for fucking YouTube and video games, dude, like most kids did. But most of the time, um, especially now, I've been trying to like look for other communities and stuff and try to get something out of it. Like I can't remember the last time I talked to like a random VC or even like chatted with like anybody about any like topic. Even though that's kind of the point for communities like that. It's like you're in that community because you guys like the same thing. Why wouldn't you talk about that thing? And it's just like, well, and like that's a big reason why I joined them. But that stuff is really hard. But I'll try doing that and getting my name out there and get acquainted with people. Because I thought about it, and because I have a friend who's very on the internet pretty often and has a lot of internet friends. Mind you, I have no internet friends. I can 100% say I don't know. I don't know anybody from the internet that I would 100% um consider a friend, except for maybe one. But that's more of an acquaintance than anything. Um, and it'd be cool for that to happen, but it's very odd. I find it very odd and difficult to understand. And then like not only that, but it would be very difficult for me to do. On top of like, or because of said previous issues. Uh, Point is, I want to try to kind of get through that barrier so I can, again, title of the video, or not title of the video, but relating to that, improve my creativity. People always have things to say, and a lot of people, like to just talk about stuff that you do because it's the internet. So if I could somehow find a goofy little community where like I'm able to share my shitty little drawings and how I improve little by little and ideas for writing and getting help with that said writing, it'd really help, and like not only that, I would hopefully get people that could help me out in the same way I can hopefully provide something to them, you know because like I thought about it. I had like a few friends of mine already are helping me with this, and it's like pretty cool. But like I see like so many talented people on the internet, and I just want to like I want to talk to them, and like it sounds weird saying like to get something out of them, but in reality, that's a big reason why I admire like certain like artists and stuff because like why wouldn't you want to like talk to them more, like, get to know them, or just like at the very least see like their process? Like I feel like that's super cool, and like surrounding yourself with those types of creatives is super important for like whatever I guess you do. Obviously if you're like, let's say, a mechanic, like sure, you, like it'll your own skills that you honed over however many years is pretty important and like obviously super helpful, but like also surrounding yourself by other people who also understand a bunch of different things about different parts of mechanics and different processes and stuff for like certain cars, certain like parts, how certain systems work, yada yada yada. People who only work with specific cars might know like insane amounts of detailed information for like that brand, but and like that stuff that you might not know at all. Surrounding with yourself with that, or yeah, putting yourself like in the same room with that person, getting to know each other, talking, and then eventually like kind of exchanging information like that, you learn from that. And having something like that in like these communities would be really cool. Like there's so many people who could just like super openly like be like, oh, I drew this and it's like a sketch. They're like, oh, sorry that didn't come out like super good, and it's just like one of the most beautiful drawings you've ever like seen in your life. It's like not even a sketch. Like how the fuck could you even call it a sketch? But again, tangent. Apologies, but my point being that um that's what I want to kind of get into and surround myself with, because I want to eventually, you know, gain like actual inspiration and information that I could use to further my progress with my hobbies, because again, this is something that I want to do with my life and kind of get something out of. Um, like I'm still struggling with a bunch of stuff, that I feel like most creatives would, like certain every now and again I'll feel like I won't want to do this at all. There's like burnout, I could just get easily distracted. I'm still really lazy, but you know, this is still something that's super important to me and that I want to essentially just put out there in the world so that hopefully a few other people that might have like a similar mindset to mine, you know, um also like they just kind of get together, we all get together, and then we just have like this shitty weird community, this sense of community, I mean, you know, something that I mentioned earlier is just that like so many people, whether they know it or not, are very similar. That's why these communities exist for certain things, like a bunch of people might like the same artist, like that's why they're in like the same Discord community of like said artist, like you guys like the same music, or you guys at the very least know for sure you guys like that one artist. You talk to people and then you learn that hey, they know another artist you like, and then you keep going and going and going, and then all of a sudden you're friends with this person, and then now you have 15 other genres that you never knew existed in your playlist. That's something I want out of like these communities, because I'm a part of them, and but like me not interacting or doing anything with it isn't really getting me anywhere. Despite, you know, that's despite them being there for basically for that. Mm, if I was going anywhere else with this, I'm not sure, but I'm just cutting off that idea there. Point is, for the future of the channel, I'm trying to keep on going with the drawing stuff. There will be an art gallery too soon, with a hint of uh, I don't know what I would put for writing, or if uh writing stuff has, what's the word, museum for that, whatever the hell that is. It's gonna have a little bit in our gallery too, and then I'm gonna make a separate video talking about my story and ideas and stuff I have for that. a few sketches for characters, scenes I had in mind, uh, themes and character archetype type thingies. It'll just essentially just be a huge, weird, like mishmash of random shit that I want and like and have for my story so far. I feel like that'd be a fun idea. I'm still trying to make that project that I had working or that I had scrapped. It was a channel review type thing that I had mentioned in channel of contents, but I do have the script still, so I'm gonna try to get a bunch of random footage and then try to edit it in the same-ish style that I was doing it already. Um, but I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things and make something out of this because 6 months without anything is a long time. So I'll see you hopefully soon. Uh, hopefully not in the next another like in another 6 months. Hopefully it's like at least within the next month. Yeesh. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. So, thanks for watching, and hopefully you stop by the next upload and the ones after that. Thanks.